There you go.
I guess they're anonymous. Okay, so it's written Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Beilam, Ateilah Nitna Lasu Shalom Beilam, and unfortunately, there are times when people don't always agree, and sometimes they become very bitter, Chas v'Shalom, and it's Hebach of Ahavas Yisrael, and the idea of Mishpat Shalom is to figure a way to resolve things peaceably through Ahavas Yisrael. Rabbi Michal Chazan has a few stories of the time when he was involved in the past with this, which was a big issue a big Indian that the Badakol worked on in the past. And now, under the auspices of the Badakol, with the supervision and assistance of the Chavrei based in, we are attempting to reinstate this issue, to have a panel of people who are ready to resolve disputes that happen, either through, and Michal mentioned that sometimes this could be through mediation and sometimes it could be arbitration. In other words, sometimes you're just coming as an advisor to sit down to hear both sides and to make recommendations. And sometimes it could be some panels might prefer that they want people to be Makabel Kinyan to accept that they're going to actually abide by the arbitration, which would actually give it also, will hopefully give it legal status as the arbitration will have actually a legal status as a binding arbitration. So this is the idea. Yudi has worked on the list for a while, and to try and get people from across the spectrum of Balabatim and people, established people in the community that should work on this. And we gathered here to get some guidance from the Rabbanim and to launch it officially, and to get guidance from the Rabbanim on the approaches that should be taken. I just want to mention one more.
Suggest that the Michal is here, Michal Chazan, and he was involved with this, we call Mishpat Shalom in the early years. I think he should give us overview how it took place and how come it dissolved. Because it's very important to start a new idea, a new concept. Mishpat Shalom, the name is very inspiring, but you don't know what's going to happen in the end if you don't take care of it properly. So it's going to happen the same thing that happened years ago, that it became bottom. So I would suggest that Michal, being he was connected with in the previous years, that he should give an overview what came about it, how long did it function, and how come it dissolved.
Before Michal was going to say a few words, I do want to thank everybody that participated and everybody that has this, that's very eager to help out over here. If not, we don't often find people that are willing to volunteer for that time and want to help in the community. Sometimes we have what we call a co-credit midbar, when we ask people to help and get involved, and people they have families and have priorities. We have people that have the shlichus mission and they really have the focus that they want to see what they can do, not only for themselves and for their families, but for the benefit of the entire community. And like Rabbi Cohen mentioned, that we have a lot of issues that need to be resolved, and we have certain issues that are unique to our community. So this is it's very encouraging to see that. I don't see all the people that are on the Zoom, but it's about them as well. I'll just mention one thing about 10 and 11 before we hear from Rabbi Michal about the past experiences, the positives and the negatives, and how to prevent those pitfalls. I've been in touch with a couple of Rabbanim in the last few days, because think about this. We spoke about this whole issue about renting out the Jewish people who don't pay rent, which is a sore point for a lot of people. So we have generally two approaches. We have the approach of those that say, "Nali l'tzara," I just rent out the non-Jewish people because they don't want to chas v'shalom go to our curse against the Yid. So therefore, they decide they'd rather rent out the Goyim. They have the other people chas v'shalom rather than rent out the Goyim or rent out the Yid. But in the end, we'll fight in our curse chas v'shalom. So either one is not a healthy approach. There's one other community that's very similar to our community and it faces the same exact concerns. There's not too many communities that have such a set of heights. The close community that I know that's very, very similar and suffers from the same exact points. And this is what they talk about in the mikveh. But all those that go into Tarkos, all those that are renting out the Memphis Williamsburg. Exactly the same thing. So I've actually got a hold of a Rav Williamsburg that I want to hear, how they deal with it, not from a Torah point of view, from a Kehillish point of view. concept of killer is much stronger.
Do we know how they deal with it?
That's what I want to know. I couldn't get through to the guy.
You know,
He said, I've been in touch with a couple of people. I want to speak to the people that are running, that are from the killer point rather than from the Mishpat point of view. Just because the Rebbe told us many times that we should go to Wilsburg and learn how to run a killer. So we've heard that from the Rebbe. This is something definitely which we share a lot in common. So we'll explore that anyhow.
The Rav just mentioned Williamsburg. It's very interesting that Satmar Rebbe once said, he said, you're not obligated to give your tenant Shalach Manas because it says Matanas Lavyaini Mishal Reya. So it's a very, all these things are very tough.
because it's allowed to hear you.
Okay. Okay. There was one time a young man who was in Kailul, and Chadikov came over to him and said that he wants a few in the life to get Shemush by the Rabbanim. So one of these Rabbanim, he made it settle before they would go to a Din Torah. He would say, if you want to go to a Din Torah, you want Din, then the Eibush will make, when they'll come to your turn to be judged, the Eibush will judge you by Din. If you want to make a Pshara, then we could take it out, and we could just work it out with the Beis Din. And that's what a lot of people did, because they didn't want to go for Din. So a number of years ago, it had to be probably around 30 years ago, they started an organization called Mishpat Shalom. They had like Swirlov and some other younger people that were in the light at the time. And they brought in a whole bunch of people to try to take away some of the jobs from their bottom to help out the community, to try to make Shalom. They try to get people who were involved in real estate to be involved in real estate. They try to like mix it up and have some professionals to try to help out. And then after a while, we started losing people. And
Losing volunteers, you mean?
we were losing volunteers.
Why?
People are busy.
Burnout.
And burnout. Listen, you need new people. And I'm Baruch Hashem, I look at the crowd over here, and I'm so happy. I'm really, really happy. I see young light over here. And it's so nice to see. You know, because we need young light. That's the only way the community will run, if young guys get involved. So Baruch Hashem here. There was a time when there was something called the Crown Heights Mediation Center. It was a project from the city, and the city gave money for it, and they had secretaries. So the one who was running Mishpat Shalom at the time, Simcha Hellinger, he had a little bit easy that they would have like a regular secretary who would take down all the information before it would go to Mishpat Shalom. Then Simcha would get the right people to listen to the Mishpat Shalom. It's just a beautiful thing that if you have a chance to make Shalom with somebody. I was telling somebody there was a case that I was a little bit involved in, that it was somebody who was having a problem with his contractor, and there was a whole big argument, and both people sat down in my house, in my dining room. And the truth was, I really didn't do anything that much. I watched them talk. I tried to steer the right direction. And Baruch Hashem, when they finished, they made a pshara. They hugged each other, and that's really a beautiful thing to see. And we need Shalom. Shalom is very important. And
But what happened to it? Why did it fall apart?
because you need somebody running it. And the problem is when we kept losing volunteers, and there's no one getting new volunteers, so we
You
have
need a
a problem.
captain. You need a captain to
You need a
to-
captain to run the ship. Yes, 100%.
You need a captain. Okay. You need a captain.
It's a subscription business.
You're the captain.
They get more and more.
So
Yeah, you in other words, not have the same people. Eventually, we need to have a bit of a rotation.
right, people here on Zoom. If anyone would like, if you heard what was being said, you want to comment at all, you're very welcome. This is an opportunity. So
Might have a mini.
if anyone wants to comment, raise a question or make a comment, please. Yeah. Huh?
I think everyone lights.
One thing is for sure, that whatever we could accomplish, whatever it is, it's definitely more than we can accomplish without having this system, that's for sure.
Right.
But I think after a certain amount of time, if we get involved with all the problems over here, we will see exactly what the problem is, even though we have an idea you just mentioned before, but still how we try to get into the situation, try to resolve that issue, and they have whatever problems. Therefore, then you need a meeting together. What do we do with these problems? So therefore, something we cannot make a decision how to go about it. Just perhaps people that have some idea, like what's your name again? Sure. The person that has idea, has knowledge, and he could advise maybe how to go about it. But, right, we'll put all the different situations together and see where the problems are. So maybe we could together be able to resolve it, because I see that we will not get all the problems that we probably will likely to get into the situation. And there's nothing we can talk about now to resolving something that we have no idea exactly how far it went into the situation that it is unresolvable.
Anything further? Anyone here want to add anything?
Do you want to
I'll add something.
Just that itself. And that last Shalom Balaam, that's the whole purpose. But anyway, Yudi wanted to say something.
So we basically did this group from people all around Crown Heights, from all different groups, and the purpose is really bringing all of this in the Shona and to get everyone together. Without Hashem.
How many people do you have on the?
We have 20 people.
20,
Yeah.
How's it gonna be? Is it each one gonna choose with 3 ones?
No.
You're gonna choose whoever's
Yeah.
running it, will just throw it.
But
there.
there is also conflict of interest provision, so that not anyone who has any kind of prior relationship with somebody is possible to sit on that din. Not just
Or maybe one of the people have houses, no problems with the mortgage, right? They say,
if he's in it's all right.
Yeah.
That one landlord and one tenant. The landlord tenant.
Yeah.
Is
So
this school, Chris, only in landlord tenant?
No. Any.
But that is a big issue.
We have a lot of
I mean,
big.
I don't know who made the comment on the Zoom, but it's a general thing that people don't realize, that when two people have a sichsuch, if they work out the sichsuch between themselves in a way that both parties are satisfied, then I'll pay Allah, that's fine. That's the best thing. A lot of people don't realize. They say, yeah, but what's the halachas? Why don't you guys sit together and work something out? But we're going to go against the Torah then. Whenever you work, a lot of people don't realize that, and that's one of the advantages. That you go to a third party, he doesn't have to know. He doesn't have to know Chayshvish and fact that bottom off when he give it psak in the Torah. Not necessarily is it exactly according to.
You're gonna be 15 minutes. Go need a phone call.
10 minutes, not more.
So when they're sitting together with someone else and you work and you still listen to people, you work something out and everybody's happy and you work out, and that's the best result you can get.
Okay. So the bottom line is that we also start moving in that direction and see what we could do. And after a certain amount of time, could we have to make a meeting again and give out the things that they had to deal with, and how they were able to deal with it or how they weren't able to deal with it. Then we know to go further, to therefore be able to make decisions. How do we go about it? There's a lot of things we don't even know what will come in the future.